Quai Needlebach, in Deloisin Denise Pulio, Sagamasqua, Wadeloisin Paul Pulio, Sagamo, Kawasak Band of the Pennacook Abenaki people, Kiona Ayan Odna Kuanipi. Hello, friends. My name is Denise Pulio. I'm the head female speaker, and this is Paul Pulio, head male speaker-in-chief of the Kawasak Band of the Pennacook Abenaki.
Our Abenaki culture, most place names actually have a description of what was being done there, what was captured there. Maybe even the geographical features of the location were embedded in the language. When we look at New Hampshire and everybody looks at different place names, they don't realize that a lot of these names were Anglophile. They made them into English constructs because what was happening is they couldn't pronounce a lot of our language. So the word squam came out of a lot of things. But in fact, squam, it refers to something that's red. So what we're talking about when you talk squam, you were talking about salmon all the time, red-fleshed fish, because people talked about what they ate more than what they captured. When we look at Exeter, Exeter is Msquama-Cook, meaning the abode of the salmon, where the salmon lived. Well, this may have been quite literally the fact that salmon could easily make their way up from the ocean into this region, and that's why we call it the abode of the salmon. So when we said we're going to Msquama-Cook, we knew we were going to go salmon fishing. So when we look at the history of New Hampshire and Exeter in specific terms, this was a fishing place. So when you look at Exeter, we think of it as an old fishing village, probably. When we removed the dam, which, you know, the great dam in Exeter itself, and now we're going to remove the Pickpocket Falls Dam, we now know that the river is becoming more and more like it was in the past, where fish may be able to migrate further inland. We've been doing a lot of work trying to hopefully study and determine whether salmon could ever come back again. And problem is today that the waters of these rivers are much too warm for salmon to actually migrate up into and and lay their fry and eggs and everything and recreate another generation. So we're hoping that as the waters get more and more available for migratory fish, we'll see more abundant and diverse fish coming through the Exeter Passage, as we call it. So what we see now, though, is the alewives, the lampreys, the blueback herring are all starting to migrate back inland. And like she said, maybe we'll start to see some kind of the more aggressive predator fish start following them inland. Now, striped bass seem to be more adaptable to these climate change issues. Maybe we'll see more striped bass coming, not all the way upriver, but at least, being closer to Exeter as this happens. And we know it works better up in the Penobscot River further north because it's colder waters. And we know that the Kennebec can sustain salmon as well, but again, the rivers are too warm. And what we've got for now, and as we remove dams, the water's going to flow more freely.
And it'll actually drop the temp of the water, which makes it more conducive for the salmon to return.
Yeah.
So if we do some strategic planting and trees and other things to kind of shield the river a little bit from the sun, the possibility of salmon returning is there.
We're trying to figure out, can we ever reintroduce a robust fishing community, on our rivers? It's a challenging thing, but if you don't try, like everybody says, if you don't try, you're not in the game. And maybe we'll be able to introduce some species, like maybe we'll start to see the sturgeon come further into our watersheds. We know the herring are there, so we have eels, American eels. Exeter was well known for having their eel festivals at one point in time. Mm-hmm. And that was like a cookout for the fire department or something, for the town. And we're hoping that at some point the alewives and the river herring will be abundant enough again that we could have maybe, like a harvesting of them as well. Right now they're protected because, there's not enough of them migrating upriver, but who knows? In time, we may see this become part of the culture of the town again, the city. Exeter may go back to those old days of having community festivals. You know, we've been doing the Alewife Festival for how many years now?
4 or 5 years
4 or 5 years now.
So once the dam was returned and the alewives actually started to return back into the river, the festival returned. So as time moves forward and we're able to restore some of our hunting and fishing practices, not just as Indigenous people, but as everyone who lives here, this benefits the entire population and our community as a whole.
And these dams, as they get removed, I think you're going to see a more robust ecosystem, and especially what we call head-of-tide dams. Those are the ones I'm most interested right now because they have the biggest impact on migratory fish. And Exeter is pretty aggressive on this, and we like that. We love the fact that this has been kind of a study for us because Exeter's really been pushing this narrative of let's free the rivers. And you know, there's a Great Bay 2030, there's PrEP, there's all kinds of things out there, programs now, 7 rivers to the coast. There's a lot of interest in protecting estuaries. So we're excited about this time period.